What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And today I'll be going through my AFL round 3 tips and predictions, but obviously before we get into that, I'll be reviewing my round 2 tips to see how many I got right, and I'll be reviewing my bold predictions to see if I've got to do a punishment. First game, Carlton v Collingwood. I tipped the Blues. I stupidly tipped them, but obviously the Pies got up pretty comfortably there. Next game, Geelong v Brisbane. I have to say the Lions were robbed though at GMHBA, but I'm lucky I tipped the Cats, so I get that one correct. Next game, Saturday, Sydney versus Adelaide. I tipped the Swans and they got the job done, so got that one correct. Next game, we got Port Adelaide v Essendon. A pretty simple one here, no surprises. The Power got the job done comfortably. I tipped them by 50, they won by 54, so close with that one. Next game, St Kilda versus Melbourne. I was very disappointed with this match. I tipped the Saints, as most people did, and the D's were the better team. And the other Saturday night game, we got Gold Coast taking on North Melbourne. I tipped the Suns, and they absolutely smashed the Roos by 59 points. Hawthorn v Richmond, I tipped the Tigers. Got that one correct. Bulldogs v West Coast. I tipped the Dogs. Probably the best game so far of the season. An absolute thriller. And then the last game, I went for the Dockers to beat the Giants, and I got that one correct in a little bit of an upset game. So overall, I actually did pretty well. I backed up my good performance from last week and got 7 out of 9 again. So that takes me to 14 tips out of 18, which I'll definitely take. Let's get into the bold calls quickly to see if I've got to do a punishment. So our first game, Carlton Collingwood, I predicted Harry Mackay to kick 5 goals, and I was so close. He kicked 4. Geelong v Brisbane, my bold call was for the Lions to be leading at 3/4 time and then the Cats to win at the end. It almost happened. Sydney versus Adelaide, this one was another very close one. I tipped the both teams to score over 100 points. Sydney scored 121, Adelaide scored 88, and if they were just accurate, they would have got that big call correct for me. But I finally got the first one correct in the Port v Essendon game. I said that the Power were going to lead the match the whole game, and that's exactly what happened. Saints v Melbourne, I had Butler, Loney and Higgins to score 10 goals between them, and this quite arguably was one of the worst calls of all time. Only one goal was scored between them, and that was through Jack Higgins. And then Gold Coast North Melbourne, I said that the Suns would score 7 goals or more in any given quarter, and they scored 6 goals in the second, so I was yet again very close. Hawthorn v Richmond, I said Dusty would have 25 touches or more and kick 4 goals. He was sort of close. He had 28 touches. He kicked a goal. Bulldogs v West Coast, 4 or more dogs to score to have 30 or more possessions, and only 2 dogs were able to do that. I think it was McRae and Bontempelli. And the last game, Freo versus Giants, my call was for both teams to combine over 25 or more behinds, and I got this one very, very spot on. To be fair, they ended up getting 35 behinds in the game, a very inaccurate game. So yeah, unfortunately, I only got the 2 bold calls correctly, which obviously if I get 3 or less, I have to do a punishment. And it was, obviously Geordie Pluto's with 131, he said that, and the punishment was for me to tell my dad that I got a girl pregnant. Now, I haven't specified with the punishments that it's got to be something appropriate, and I don't feel like it's a very appropriate punishment to do, especially considering that I have to film my dad, and I don't know if he'll be okay with me putting it up on YouTube. So what I will do the one that got the second most likes, which was from Fired Footy, who said, when you get back to Melbourne, go all the way to Geelong just for a KFC and come back, which I also really don't want to do. So obviously I can't do it right now, but if I have a free day over the next week, I will get that out for the next tipping video. But I know you guys came here to see me do a punishment. So what I do have is a thing of Sustagen, and I've got a can of Coke. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be mixing Sustagen and Coke. Alright, put a couple of scoops in. We ran out of Milo. I was going to do Milo, but unfortunately there was no Milo, so I've got to do this instead. Alright, I reckon that's good enough. Got a few spoonfuls and then we'll get the Coke. I'm not looking forward to this. This is going to be horrible. That doesn't look great. Look at the top. It's all just gone up to the top. It's just all fluffy. Oh, this is going to be... Maybe it's going to be good. Who knows? Alright, I'm just going to scull it. Alright. I'm not gonna lie, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It sort of, in a way, tastes like a Coke flavoured milkshake. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad. So first game, Brisbane v Collingwood at, well, it was scheduled originally for the Gabba, for the annual Easter Thursday game, but they're moving it to Marvel because of COVID. They're having a lockdown in Brisbane. So now it makes me think whether or not I want to change my tip to Collingwood, considering obviously they play better in Melbourne. However though, Brisbane have a better list. Brisbane, I've got to say on paper, have a better list than Collingwood. They really should have beaten the Cats if they were more accurate, and they just didn't. If the umpire just paid that bloody hole in the ball. But I'm going to go the Lions here by 19 points. I feel like they're just a little bit better, and I reckon, you know, they surely couldn't go 0-3. If they go 0-3, that almost puts their premiership chances out the window. And my big call is going to be Hipwood and Danaher combined for 7+ goals. I know that a lot of people don't know whether or not they're going to be a good combination. And look, Hipwood was good last week. If Danaher can be just as good as Hipwood was last week, then this call, there's a chance I might get this one correct. Next game, we've got North Melbourne taking on Western Bulldogs, the annual Good Friday clash, which I think the last 3 games have all been whitewashes. And on paper, this looks to be another whitewash, if I'm going to be completely honest. Western Bulldogs coming off a memorable victory against the Eagles were very impressive, whilst North Melbourne again were very disappointing against a team like the Gold Coast, who, well, they've never made finals. Their highest ladder position is 12th. So you just got to go Western Bulldogs. No one's going to be tipping North in this game, I don't think. However, I don't feel like it's going to be that much of a blowout. North and Bulldogs usually play in sort of close games, but I don't see this one being close at all. I'll go the Dogs by 40 points, and my big call, Jack McRae gets over 40 possessions yet again. Now, the second Friday game, we've got Adelaide taking on the Gold Coast Suns. This could be game of the round. I never would have predicted me saying this. And they could provide a really good contest. Adelaide, obviously coming off a disappointing game against the Swans. They played pretty well. They just needed to take their chances, whilst the Suns were just too good for the Roos, really. They convincingly smashed them. Because it's at Adelaide Oval, I know the Suns are actually favourites in this, but because it's at Adelaide Oval, they were very good against the Cats. I think the Crows could just get over the line. I'm going to tip them in another close one. The Crows by 5, and my big call, both teams will not be using their medical sub. Now, there's no backstory to this. It's just a complete stab in the dark of a bold call. Next game, we've got Saturday afternoon, Richmond taking on Sydney at the MCG. Now, if this game was played at the SCG, I would almost lean towards the Swans with how good they've been playing lately. But because it's at the G, I think I've got to go for the Tigers. You know, the Tigers just got the job done against the Hawks. They did what they needed to. The Swans, yet again, were very impressive. Their young talent is absolutely insane. The Swans, they look like a potential top 8 threat. I'll go safe and tip the Tigers by 23 points. With my big call, Lance Franklin will not kick a single goal. He was good last week, but will he be able to sustain his form? We'll see. Next game, 4:35 PM at Marvel Stadium. We've got St Kilda taking on Essendon. Now, both teams were coming off very disappointing results. I would almost say the Saints coming worse off, considering that most people thought they were going to beat the Demons, but they played absolutely atrocious. Their skills were just shocking. Couldn't hit a target to save their lives. They should have lost the game by 7 or 8 goals, whilst the Bombers, they were pretty average. They got demolished by the Power. The injuries as well to Shield, to Caldwell, to Draper. They're in a lot of trouble, the Bombers. So I think we'll be way too strong for the Bombers. I really hope we bounce back from last week. So I'm going to tip the Saints by 38 points. And my big call will be that the Saints win the disposal count by over 80. Now, the next game at Optus Stadium, Saturday night, we've got West Coast taking on Port Adelaide. Now, this, along with the Adelaide Suns game, this is probably also one of the games of the round. Now, obviously, Eagles are playing at home, so only because the Eagles are playing home, I'm going to lean towards the Eagles, and I'm going to predict the Eagles to win the game by 2 points. With my big call being that the Eagles will kick a match-winning goal with less than 2 minutes remaining. Sort of similar to the famous after the siren goals that have happened between the two sides. Now, the next game, we've got Carlton taking on Fremantle at Marvel Stadium on Easter Sunday. Freo coming off a very impressive win against the Giants, whilst the Blues coming off a disappointing loss against the Pies. A lot of people thought that the Blues were actually going to win that game, but they just disappointed yet again. The Blues are definitely favourites for this one, especially being in Melbourne. I almost don't want to trust the Blues. I mean, they need to win this game if they want to stay in the hunt for finals. Just based on the fact that the outcome, if they lose, will be absolutely severe. I reckon the Blues will come into this game absolutely determined to win, just to keep their season alive. So I'll go the Blues in this one by 13 points. Now, the big call, both young and old will start. Sam Walsh and David Mundy combined for 60 plus disposals. Now, the last game on Easter, we've got GWS taking on Melbourne at Manuka Oval. Now, the Giants, they're 0-2. They come off a very disappointing performance against the Dockers, who just outclassed them in all areas of the game. Whilst the D's were absolutely outstanding against the Saints, they were just way too good for them. They were just dominant in really all areas of the game and should have won the game by more, as I mentioned before. You'd think based on recent form that the D's should get the job done, and I'm pretty sure they are the favourites, but I'm going to lean on the Giants for a bit of an upset. They just got to find a way to get a win. It's at their home ground. I don't think the D's played Canberra too well, if I'm going to be honest. So I think the Giants, they won't throw this game away. I mean, they're already 0-2. If they lose this game, geez, there's going to be a lot of problems for the Giants. But I'm going to be tipping them by 11 points with my big call. The Demons lead at every change except for the last quarter. Now, last game, obviously, tradition. We've got Geelong taking on Hawthorn at the MCG. The Easter Monday clash, as they say. Now, the Cats, they were very lucky to win against the Lions. I feel like they were the better team for most of the game, but they were, yeah, as I said before, a controversial umpiring decision is the reason they did get the job done. Whilst the Hawks, they weren't too bad against the Tigers. They definitely took it up to the Tigers, but obviously the Tigers class fought out in the end. So this one, on paper, you'd think that the Cats would get the job done. I think you just got to back in the Cats. You got to back in their experience and their class. They're just a better team. They've got that extra level of quality in their side. So I'm going to predict the Cats to win the game by 30 points, with my big call being Tom Hawkins scores 5 or more goals. He's been a little bit shaky to start the season, so I feel like in this game, he'll come in fit and firing and ready to kick a bag. So there you go, guys. Those are my round 3 AFL tips and predictions. Yeah, comment down below your tips and predictions down below. And if you want to join my tipping comp, link is in the description. I'll be doing the KFC punishment next week. For anyone who is new, comment down below a punishment that you want me to do if I don't get 3 or more bold predictions correct. So yeah, comment down a punishment and the one with the most likes, that is the most appropriate, that preferably don't involve me filming my parents, I will be doing down below. But yeah, thank you for watching. Remember, join my tipping competition, subscribe if you are new, and code Consustogen surprisingly isn't as bad as I thought it would be.